Good evening, everybody, and welcome to twitch.tv/SpeedGaming, where tonight, coming up in just about 3 minutes, we are bringing you Game 3 of the upper bracket finals of the Final Fantasy V Career Day Tournament 2023. We have Judgejoe versus Freddeh. They split their first two matches. The winner moves on to the grand finals. The lower drops down to the lower bracket to face Dreisleiser. How's everybody doing tonight? I am Z-Man, and with me tonight in the commentators booth is Fiery Blizzard. Fiery, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
I am excited for this seed, not only because we have two very quick bracers of the randomizer, but also just the composition that we're having. Not going to go through the entire draft, but the jobs we have tonight are Hunter, Berserker, Blue Mage, and Chemist. And if anyone's watched me play this game, Blue Mage and Chemist is right up my wheelhouse, and Hunter Berserker is sort of a nod to some old strategies of berserking that a few people in the community like to have. This is exciting because both racers here have been in a grand finals before. Judgejoe was in the finals for the previous tournament in the Trap Chess tournament, and Freddeh was in the finals for the Variety tournament. So one of them will secure their spot on the winner's side this time, and the loser may still be in the finals.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing, right? I mean, there are only three competitors left in the tournament, right? Dreisleiser is waiting for the loser of these two, and the winner moves on to the grand finals. So this is going to be fantastic, and as we kind of move forward in this seed, we are going to very much kind of describe just how absolutely broken the combination of Chemist and Blue Mage can be. Is it literally every boss in the game, or is it just about every boss in the game that can be beaten rather easily just using Chemist and Blue Mage? Is it literally every, or just about every?
It is theoretically every boss, because at minimum you can basically take every boss to level 255 in L5 Doom if you really wanted to do that. Because L5 Doom is not actually blockable. Except if there's wall up, then you have a little bit of issues, but other than that, no. I mean, if you really wanted to not even bother with magic evade or anything like that, then all you do is mix a whole bunch of Samson powers to increase the enemy's level by 10. Hopefully you don't die while doing this, and then L5 Doom once it hits 255, because that is the maximum level that you can hit. So you're never going over that. That's it.
Right, and the other part of this flag set is that I believe you can certainly buy Dragon Fangs in shops. So the Dragon Fang mixes, right? You can actually, instead of the Samson power, I think it's Dragon power that you can go up 20 levels with. So you can really get the levels really quick if you can find those Dragon Fangs for sale.
Yeah, no, it's certainly out there, and we'll see what our racers can find, what they can take advantage of. I mean, the combination of mix and L5 and any Death by Math, if you're expecting this to not be a Death by Math stream, you may want to look elsewhere. There's more than likely going to be some math that's happening on the stream, but we will see what our racers are comfortable with.
Yeah, indeed.
And throwing in a Berserker in there can give you some interesting outcomes. So let's see if we can get the layout changed a little bit while they enter Tycoon Castle.
Yeah. Let's see. Trying to focus. Oh, there's 12,000K. That's a nice opening gold start there.
Yeah, they're going to be looking for some money. It's not going to be terribly important. The things that we're looking for in terms of actual equipment here are going to be the Yoichi bow and the Artemis bow, and it's more likely to find them as a Zonk item for a key item check than it is to find it in a shop.
Yeah.
You may find one in World 2 if you want shopping in World 2 early. An Avis Killer is also a solid bow. But we're really looking for a Yoichi or Artemis bow for the Hunter and the Berserker. And then for the Blue Mage, anything that we can find in a shop that we don't have to wait to learn ourselves is going to be very much appreciated. And then we're just going to want all the mixing supplies that you can possibly have.
Yep. And then as far as like Berserker equipment, right, Rune Axe, Earth Hammer, those are probably the two best. One of them may actually appear here in the Kuza Castle, and maybe we get some underflow strats with that Rune Axe.
Yeah, that's always a great spot. Giant's Glove is not too hard to come by in the randomizer. Normally, it's a rare steal in for the Apocalypse fight in the Void, where you get a Giant's Glove, but here you can generally find it in quite a few places. And the Earth Hammer has the magic underflow as well. My personal favorite is to use the Rune Axe. I prefer that over the Earth Hammer. Uh, I don't know whether or not people go one way or the other with that, but I always found the Rune Axe a little bit better, unless you have a reason to want to use the Quake.
All right, so what are we going to take here from Kuza Castle? We saw the Magic Lamp insta-take. I would imagine that Mirage Vest is going to get taken.
Yeah, and then I would take the Sage's Staff. Uh,
And what, put that on your Blue Mage?
I mean, it's a valid option. One of the things that was interesting was that the first two picks were Hunter and Berserker, and I'm just sitting there in the draft room. I'm thinking, are these players going to basically? They were banning basically every mage up until they chose Blue Mage. I'm like, are we really going to go through this entire seed without a way to deal with Omniscient at the end of the day? Because if they were like doing a whole melee job system and they find Omniscient in the Void and they don't have a way to deal with it, we're just it would be
That's a problem.
very, very bad. We do see a Coral Ring being taken actually, which is nice. If you find a Leviathan in a terrible place, a Twintania spot, that's never happened before.
Never.
Not in this series.
Never.
Coral Ring is very, very nice. We do see that burning areas are barren. That just means that the Karnak escape and the Moor Forest do not have a key item, which is honestly the least useful barren hint that you could possibly have, because Moor Forest is still important if you need to go into Fork Tower. And that hint doesn't mean that Fork Tower is not required. And Kuza Castle, or not Kuza, but Karnak Escape, you're probably doing anyways for the trap chests, because you get some pretty high tier loot from those trap chests if you have access to it. So generally not something you skip, and not really worth skipping unless you are literally getting your last tablet from the steamship itself.
Well, there's a really nice mix ingredient to have early in your backpack. Oh, running shoes, that's great. I was more talking about the dark matter, but those running shoes are fantastic.
Absolutely. Haste is probably the broken status of the game. It's just incredibly powerful, and we don't have a way to cast haste with this party until we get some mixed ingredients. We're gonna see I assume, quite a few, sort of kiss a blessing, not only for the haste and for the berserk status, if we want more berserkers on, say, on a hunter, but we also get the image status as well, which is pretty nice. But we will again see what our racers do. There is an Earth Hammer, by the way, in the Pirates hideout, so we were talking about it.
And that is something that Joe's not going to see. Joe doesn't raid the Pirates Cove at all. Oh, and a Aegis shield from the trap chest in Tool here, so that's fantastic for our Blue Mage.
Yeah, Blue Mage and Berserker, you only need one in this. Well, we have a Chemist, so it's not strictly required to deal with an Aegis shield anywhere, because we can mix at the end. But Aegis shields are nice to have. You have one, you can technically status glitch if you really wanted to, but again, with a mixer on the team, it's not that important to do so. The idea behind, if you're unfamiliar with the sort of status glitch, the idea is that status immunities carry over exactly one fight from when you have it. So if you were to equip an Aegis shield, which gives you Protect from Stone, and then unequip it, you actually still have Protect from Stone for one more fight. So you can basically double your status immunities by abusing that glitch. But again, with the mixer, not terribly important. We do see Lanka Meteor does have the Hear You Call, so if we want to go to the big bridge, or not big bridge, but the boat in World 2, the Lanka Meteor has our path to that.
Yeah. Oh, and something I wanted to bring up a little earlier that I don't think we addressed here in the booth. We had mentioned that there was a no burning hint from Rugor. Well, that's kind of ironic, given our first hint was that the Elder Branch is in World 1. Yes, as you said, the Elder Branch, it could still mean fork viability. It just means the Elder Branch itself won't hold anything good.
Yeah, well, the forest also generally has pretty decent loot as well. We see Joe going immediately into the first check here in the Wind Shrine. This is not surprising at all.
Nope.
You certainly have more than enough power. This is 250 HP. The only thing that would be a slight problem is if Titan shows up right here.
Yeah, Titan would definitely be a problem. Abductor is not. Although, Joe, you might want to think about getting your party in the back row there, bud.
It's fine. Missile was in Karnak. I don't know whether or not Freddeh picked it up, but that is actually a very nice spell. Basically, any non-heavy you can use Missile on, and it will, I believe, do 3/4 of that enemy's health. So, great way to take out some health. It's better than Demi. It's essentially a quarter. Gold hairpin as well. Very nice to have from that Wind Shrine.
Nice to put on the Blue Mage once we start getting some of the real big Blue Mage spells, if we ever do, right? Especially Big Guard, right? That Gold Hairpin, Big Guard, that's really nice combo to have.
Freddeh picking up a couple of ethers, I like that early. You can quickly find yourself without MP if you're not paying attention. We do get the third tablet is in World 3, and we haven't talked about it yet. The entire goal of this randomizer is to beat Neo XF at the end of the Void, and to do so you need all 4 of those tablets that are in the top row of each of the players' trackers. We give 1 tablet to start that gives them a good amount of power, hopefully from Kusai Castle, which is where we rated at the very beginning of the seed. But we still need to know where the other 3 are actually. And so any hints that are Path to the Void or direct hints like that saying where the tablets are very useful because it gives you a direction of where to go or where not to go.
All right, so got some goodies here in Licks, some fire staves, some more status items, the Revivifies, which are huge for mixing, antidotes, which are nice.
Yeah, this is a shop you want to take a note of. Revivifies or Holy Waters in future editions are the mix ingredient for most useful statuses in the game. If there is one consumable you want in this game, that would be it. You need Revivifies to do most of the useful mixes. Eye drops would give you a good thing too, and you want Maiden Kisses as well for your Kiss of Blessings.
Mm-hmm. And if you can happen to find turtle shells and want to only put haste on, right? Haste is turtle and a turtle shell and an eye drop. So
yeah, and not to discount 2 turtle shells giving you shell and armor status either.
Mm-hmm.
You see Atmos in Torna Canal. We'll see if Atmos gets a turn to comet 1 or 2 of our party members down. It does not look like it. Thank you, Running Shoes.
And the chemist is like, I'm helping. 6 damage. Gotta love it.
So I'm not entirely convinced. I played a random seed today where I decided to make everyone freelancers and only freelancers. I'm not convinced that Atmos takes a turn there, to be honest. Because I had a pretty long amount of time before Atmos still didn't do anything. But we do see that bracelet coming out. Bracelet, not entirely a required item for this seed. We are starting with all 3 of the worlds open. So we don't ever actually need to climb Xtef's castle unless a key item that we need is up there. But it might be relevant if we also find the anti-barrier. But right now, that's not a key item that does anything for us.
Yeah, the bracelet by itself doesn't do a thing, right? Because you need the anti-barrier to get into Exdeath's castle. But without the bracelet, you can still do the basement, but you can't do the upper two checks, and you can't kill Exdeath up in his castle without the bracelet. So I suppose we can at least mention now, and we'll revisit this later if we need to, but if you do kill Exdeath up at the top of his castle, then you will get an easier tree form of Exdeath, but that we'll talk about more if it winds up happening.
Yeah. It's an interesting proposition with this party, whether or not you'd want that. Again, we'll talk about it more if and when we come across it. But we do see Joe finishing up the ship graveyard here. I assume Freddeh will not be far behind.
All right, who do we pull here at the shipyard? We pull Twintania.
So this is interesting, right? Because if you're thinking from a blue magic perspective, Twintania can give you a really nice spell right off the bat. It's a bit painful. I'm not entirely sure if anyone would survive a quad Mind Blast here, but technically Twintania could use it and teach you Mind Blast.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would survive that.
Depends what the magic power is.
Yeah, well, even still, the Mind Blast still pretty consistently does triple-digit damage at the least, and
yeah,
all of Judgejoe's characters were barely in the triple digits.
Well, we do get the Falls page from that. Again, not a item we can use immediately. We do need the submarine key in order to get into the falls. So, but our third tablet could be there.
So much for your Atmos doesn't get a turn.
Oh, it's good to have proof. Frog Song, Tiny Song, and Arrow. And Flash and Arrow too. Why not?
Arrow 2 is nice to have, at least early.
So yeah, it'll be a question of will our racers ever want to learn a spell naturally? This is where Blue Mage sort of shines. If you know where to get encounters, you can do some really fun things with turning encounters on, because we have encounters enabled for every step you take here. But in this case, we actually have all three worlds open, so if you have a Mirage Radar early, you know, we talk a lot about the possibility of grinding using the Mirage Radar because of the way the tournament is set up. But generally, a lot of the really nice blue spells will show up in Mirage Town as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Byblos is not long for this world. One fire staff to the face should take care of Byblos here at the Waltz Meteor spot.
That would be my assumption here. And that certainly did it.
Ugh.
Turns out breaking rods is a very broken early game strat if you find the rods and you can afford them.
Yeah. But, you know, given this flag set, affording them really usually isn't much of a problem because you can usually find some decent stuff for sale super early. So you can just pretty much, it's not really buy to your heart's content, but you can get enough to get you through until you get all of the gold.
Yeah, and people like to do the wall, or where we are is the Waltz Meteor, and people like to do this because the EXP that you get from this is huge compared to most other places. We do also get a Yoichi bow. You can claim that it's the best bow in the game. It's between that and the Artemis bow. The Yoichi bow has a 30% crit chance on any single hit, whereas the Artemis bow crits only magic beasts, but will always crit magical beasts.
Yeah, so having both is great. And having the Yoichi bow, I mean, yeah, it's not a key item, but high level 5 Doom and Deathclaw.
Yeah, I mean, Deathclaw is a huge spell. Level 5 Doom is a bit easier to learn. Deathclaw is a bit more painful. What Deathclaw does, though, is in any boss that is a non-heavy flag, if you are able to hit Deathclaw, it puts them immediately in critical HP and also gives them paralysis status if they are not immune to that. So it is one of those spells that are, it's broken if you know when to use it.
Yeah. So those are two very, very nice, basically instant death spells if you know how to use them. I know Deathclaw isn't really instant death, but it kind of is.
If you can use it, it is.
Get the hint from Waltz that the Sandworm bait is in World 2. So nothing really is telling us Path to the Void yet. The only thing we know that's kind of helpful is that you don't have to go into burning areas. Great. Fantastic. Although you still might have to if fork is required.
So this is it's probably not necessarily this early, but if you already have L5 Doom available, and you have Mix, right? We have Mix available. My preference would be to go get Dark Shock from Black Flames as soon as possible. Just because at that point you can now start to death by math pretty much any boss. We do have Archaeoavis here. 5 phases. I know you have a phrase you like to say.
Yeah. So if anybody here is familiar at all with the Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise randomizer, I equate this fight here to the Fabul Gauntlet. It's 5 phases. You have to fight all 5. You have to beat all 5. It's a pain in the butt pretty much wherever it is. Can it be easy? Sure. It's just annoying that you have to do all 5.
Yeah. However, so I'm curious if Joe knows the fact that the last phase here is, I believe, level 20 exactly. I can't remember if it's 20 or 25. Regardless, it is exactly divisible by 5.
Yep. Level 5 Doom.
Archaeoavis in the final phase is immune to magics. Otherwise, except I think possibly Venom might work. But of course, if you have a Yuichi bow that crits, it doesn't matter. We see Freddeh doing the same thing over on his side with Biplos. Just use a fire rod and don't worry about it.
So basically, the time difference between our two racers is more or less the time it takes to run through the pirates' hideout. Because that's really the only difference between these two, is that Freddeh raided the pirates' hideout and Joe didn't.
Freddeh also went into Karnak.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that too. All right, so now we're going to get some World 2 checks here from Joe.
Yeah, we got a little bit higher tier shops over here. Maybe we'll find something really nice. Maybe we won't. I want to see the Siege challenge at least a little bit.
So, I mean, we are certainly getting into the shops here. You can, depending on what rolls what, you can pull big guard in these shops. I've seen it in Moore a couple of times, pulling big guard out of Moore.
Arrow 3 there is very nice.
That's nice.
Arrow 3
Doomax.
I don't think we'd ever see Doomax strats in this.
Yeah, I mean, if they get desperate, maybe.
No, Arrow 3 being that sort of ultimate arrow spell for a blue mage, especially if you pair it with an air knife, it will do 2k damage pretty easily.
And then you pair that with Omniscient, who is weak to wind. Oh, hello.
Yeah, unfortunately, Omniscient still has shell status.
That is a point.
But no, it will be your it will be your best damage more than likely. You better get a Zerk off first, otherwise that Berserker is going to reset the fight for you until you do.
All right, so we get our first Path to the Void hint, and it's a little bit of an ambiguous one. The hint is North Mountain is path to the void. So there are two checks at the North Mountain. There is the first one you can do immediately in the game, and then there is the second one, the Bahamut spot, that is gated by the Mirage radar. We're going to get Joe to check this out. Maybe it's one. The game gets cute, and sometimes we'll have that as a double hint. So maybe both are required. Who knows?
It seems to happen more often than not in this tournament, where when North Mountain is Path to the Void, it really means both spots are Path to the
Yeah,
Void.
yeah. I think every race I've watched where North Mountain is path to the void, it winds up being both.
Joe almost got away from those flowers and hit the last one. And we get vanilla.
How vanilla? Is this even randomized?
No, this looks perfectly normal to me. We do get a second tablet, so decent chance that was our Path to the Void. We're not sure. The third tablet could be a Bahamut.
That'd be fun.
So
and
go ahead.
Berserker strats activate. For those of you that may not be familiar with what we say the Berserker, so at some point the hunter will learn the equipped bow ability. That I believe is the last ability it learns before rapid fire. And what you can do is you can put equip bows on a Berserker and put a bow on a Berserker, and therefore Berserker.
Yeah, the real only problem with Berserker strats with bows is that bows generally have a pretty bad accuracy. So you could get into a little bit of a rut where you just don't hit anything for damage. Because sometimes the game be like that.
Yeah, it just kind of gets stuck in a loop. It's like, come on, game, really? Don't do this to me. And it does it to you.
We see Joe going for the easiest of the World 2 boss checks, being Bell Castle. It's also the quickest.
All right, what do we have here? We pull a Galura.
Not level 5 Doom immediately. Nope. You can Deathclaw.
Yep. Yeah, it's not a level 5, but it is not heavy, and it's pretty much immune to most statuses, or it's vulnerable to most statuses. But or just,
yeah.
Yep. Or you just do that.
Like I said in the beginning, this can go in two different ways. It can either be a lot of thinking and math, or no thinking because your characters are doing everything for you. Now, Berserkers are great, really good early game and mid game. It's when you start getting to those higher HP spots that you can start to lose quite a bit of time if you're relying on them solely.
Bell Castle, they're having the big bridge key, so that is, Flying Lunka Ruins, Path to the Void.
Means we need the Adamantite. So that should be nice. Lily saying in chat that she saw a Giant's Glove. I don't know if that was from a drop or in a shop anywhere, but...
Shop. It was a shop in the Bale. It was a shop in Bale that Joe picked up. So it should appear somewhere else in World too.
Yeah, probably in Kelb.
Probably.
You get Joe going into the big bridge here, fighting the Greg 2 spot. It's not Greg 2, it's Greg 3. Probably not necessary. We might see Enkidu. Yep.
Hi, Enkidu.
This is one of those fights. Again, we have Berserker, which makes it harder because you're probably seeing Enkidu anyways. But a Dark Shock into L5 Doom does take care of Greg 3 here. But again, low enough HP, not really necessary. If this were in a much higher HP spot, say, in the Void, that would be the way you'd want to take care of this fight. Or just Death Potion. because we would have that mix available. We do, actually, because we have Dark Matter from Atmos.
Mm-hmm.
Be a waste to use it here, though.
Yes. Because this is not a difficult fight in this location.
Should have 3,250 HP between the two of them. And we get the anti-barrier, so there is our Extef Castle access. So if we wanted to just continue down south here, we can go right into Extef's Castle. And if we really... Go ahead.
I think that's what he's doing. He's walking it into the Access Castle.
Why not?
And I do believe we have Freddeh going to pick up Dark Shock here from some of the Dark Flames, I think.
He might want to go to the island that is shaped like a flame.
Or is this... No, this is Prototype. This is Dark Matter Grind.
Except I don't think this is an intentional Dark Matter grind. I think he just landed on the wrong island.
As long as you're here. Okay.
The island that Freddeh is looking for looks like an upright flame. It's to the north here. Continue north. This, I guess, also is a place that they can appear. I don't know if it's 100% on this island. Of course, this is assuming your Zerkers don't kill all the black flames before they use Dark Shock.
Or... okay, so they're... All right, so there's the Earth. They're got healed by Earth. Catastrophe at the Greg 1 spot goes down.
11.5 thousand, not too much HP, and very quickly disposed of. And we get the Moogle suit. And Black Flames and Berserkers are showing that, yes, if you put on a shield, your Dark Flame can take a while for it to hit. There you go. And now we can just kill these Black Flames. They are wind elementals.
He's just going to bring back the Berserker. Goodbye.
So Moogle suit used to be incredibly overpowered. It used to be 7 tier 9 checks. Mm-hmm. In this case, we have since toned it down a lot, where I believe it's 1 T5, 2 T6s, 2 T5s, or maybe 3 T5s, 3 T6s, something like that. But this is sort of a standard routing that Joe is doing, where he's going into Moogle Waterway. He's going to check this spot, has 5,000 HP, not too bad, and then just walk over to the Moogle village.
I completely missed if there was anything on the catapult there for Freddeh.
So
did he not do the catapult and just went to Crescent on his own? I'm so used to doing the catapult land. He went on his own. Okay.
Yeah, because he was just getting Dark Shock from the Black Flames.
Mm-hmm.
We get Ring Raptor. Nothing at all that is dangerous, especially you still have an Avis Killer attached. Wing Raptor is indeed a bird.
Yes. A little annoying, though, considering how it's the first boss of the game, so you think it would go down to, like, every single status or Doom or something along those lines, but it doesn't. Oh.
And for your Avis Killer kill, you get an Avis Killer.
Ironic.
Freddie's gonna go to North Mountain. I don't even think he's seen the hint.
Yeah, I don't think he's seen the hint. So I think he's gonna think that he really pulled a nice item here by doing this. But he's gonna think he's gonna do this before Joe, because this is a play that Joe will usually fade until he does both North Mountain 1 and North Mountain 2. But little does he know there's a hint here.
Yeah, I think Joe actually does generally do this check pretty early. There are racers that definitely won't. But I think Joe's one of those who will actually go and check North Mountain pretty quickly, just in case it is something that burns him.
So nothing too fantastic in the Moogle's village. There was an assassin's dagger, which has its uses. Defender? Can the Blue Mage? No, Blue Mage I don't think can equip the
Nope.
Defender. I think the best it can do is the Enhancer.
Yep, the Defender is a knight's sword, so only.
Yeah. So no. Yep, nothing good.
See what's in Tycoon. The Hear You plant. Well, plenty of ways to take care of this. We do see a pretty stark difference here where Freddeh is using the running shoes on a Berserker, and Judgejoe is using the running shoes on his Chemist, where he actually has control of the action. It just depends what you're sort of prioritizing at that moment. But we do get the Wolf's Tower key from the Tycoon Meteor, and no surprise, we are going right to Wolf's Tower. We see Freddeh going into more, is not bothering to save outside here. And we get the anti-barriers in World 2, which we know because it's at the big bridge. And a Power Staff. That is nice if we ever need to berserk a boss. Bone Mail. Okay, well. Joe, unfortunately, forgetting to hold right entering that room, falls into the classic trap of vines.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. With that bone mail pickup there from Fred. Oh, there's Dark Shock. Ah! With that bone mail pickup, I mean, personally, I would have reset out of that because I know that you can find White Wind or Big Guard in the Chicken Knife or Brave Blade chest sometimes.
That would require him to have saved.
Yeah, picky. Yeah, I mean, you're talking to a guy that literally forgot to save going into the void. So yeah, saving optional.
I thought you were gonna say Fork Tower, but that was a different tournament altogether.
Different train.
We get the Guardians on top here. We get an Anonymous Bow, not too bad, not what we were looking for, but the Guardians out of the way is a great thing to find. Anywhere where the Guardians do not have 10,000 HP each is a success.
Yes. Oh, Joe gets a Power Staff as well for his trouble.
Yep, and there's the giant glove that is in Kelb, as we sort of suspected. And Power Staves are also for sale in there, because why not?
And there's an Enhancer. I'm a little surprised Freddeh didn't pick one up just for in case.
I mean, Area 3 is always going to do more damage. I believe that was the 4th tablets in World 1. I suspect that is our Flying Lanka ruins.
Yep, I was just about to say the same. I definitely suspect that's Flying Lanka.
Speaking of bosses we like to see at low HP spots, here's Bahamut.
Where was Bahamut?
I believe Enterprise says it's cave value. We get a little fraud and give it to an old man.
Freddeh pulling Galura. Galura should not be on screen for very long. Joe pulling Carnage. So the only hint of the first 10 that are available that we haven't seen is the hint from Guido up in the library.
Yeah, there's been no need to really go there because, well, we learned L5 Doom from a shop. It kind of stings, right, when you see Break Sword in a World 1 shop and you're like, eh.
It's like, why didn't I choose the Mystic Knight?
Well, what, there were 2 races in a row. I think one was probably your set with Dry and another was from this set where Bahamut was sitting in, like,
Licks.
Carwin.
Mine was Licks.
Okay. I think in Joe's it was in Carwin. As is like, wait, what?
Yeah, something like, it's like, what? Why are you here? What? How is this? What? Okay. I want a summoner.
So Freddie is not taking the big bridge key, and he's actually going to go to Moogle Waterway. So a little bit less inefficient route, or a little bit less efficient routing than Joe did, because his anti-barrier from the big bridge led to the Moogle suit. So he got to do all that in sort of a really nice and neat fashion.
I think that said something. I think the hint there said something about Flying Lanka. I think.
I also missed it, unfortunately. Maybe someone in chat.
Was that Flying Lanka has trench page? Okay, all right. Well,
Well, that's just one
interesting.
of the two spots. Cannot Deathclaw Wing Raptor. Wing Raptor is actually heavy. It won't matter because you have an Avis killer, but
I wonder if maybe Flying Lanka leads us on a path, right? Maybe Flying Lanka to the trench page, and then the trench gives us
Steamship
Ifrit's
with
fire.
maybe. So Joe, I think at this point only has Hiryu Valley, Catapult, Lanka Meteor, and X-Stuff's Castle left in terms of World 1 or World 2. I wonder if he's actually going to go, and that is probably the highest tier item I've ever seen from those wolves.
What was it?
Sage's Staff.
Nice.
I wonder if he was part where he's probably going to Hiryu Valley next. But I also wouldn't be surprised if he decides just to go to Antline Cave in World 3 into Odin. We're going to get a double helping of Enkidu. Freddie is also going to have Enkidu show up on his screen. We see Joe going up Hiryu Valley. See if we get anything of use here. Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, you can certainly get some good items here in the Hiryu Valley.
Yeah, so one of the interesting consequences for job mode is that normally when you're playing this randomizer, you get abilities and jobs in various places, and those really clog up the item pool. You probably don't notice it until you go back and play a more normal seed, where you're not really finding all that many items to sell, you're just finding a bunch of abilities you don't really care about. So in this case, instead of finding abilities or summoner or something like that, you're finding generally some mid-tier stuff to sell. Which isn't too bad. It's just it's a shock when you come from like a normal seed or go back to a normal seed and you're like, how do I get money?
Oh, look, there's level 3 flare. That's can be handy.
Absolutely. L3 flare. If you know a boss is divisible by 3, it's a good 3,000 HP. One of those bosses happened to be X-Def in his castle at level 66, although that is not my favorite way to fight with Blue Mage, but it is certainly a way. Get Antline at the top of Hiryu Valley here. Really nothing too bad here as well.
It's not going to do that much terrible damage with everybody back road and a couple of decent armor equippers, so it shouldn't be bad.
I just want to point out that Freddie actually just hit a Dark Shock on Catastrophe, which is incredibly unlikely. Catastrophe is level 71, has pretty high magic defense and magic evade, and we're not at that high level. So hitting a Dark Shock is actually very lucky, similar to Judgejoe hitting 2 breaks on Gargoyles in the last race. But level 71 turns into level 35, which is again divisible by 5, and so an L5 Doom will instantly kill.
All right, so the Hiryu Valley leading us to the big bridge key. Or not, I'm sorry, to the steamship key, wrong key.
Yep. And now Joe is just going to clean up the rest of the World 1 checks here, whereas Freddie is going to go into X-Def's castle proper. If you wanted to learn L2 naturally, this floor would be the one to do it. You turn on encounters, you'd go and look at a magic dragon for approximately forever and a half, and then eventually you'll decide to use L2 Old and you get happy. Or you already have L2 Old, you're looking for an Arage to control to learn Light Wind, and magic dragons just use L2 Old like that's the only thing they can do every 4 turns.
It's almost like you're speaking from experience.
A little bit. You see the Puraboros at the catapult. Again, we have AoE. This isn't a difficult fight. Area 3. Spread out to all 6 of them. Instantly kills. No problem.
You know, I'm looking at my my cheat sheet here, right? And that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's only our 5th Zonk, given how many checks we've made. Usually by now, it's usually, if you're 10 checks in, you get like 5 Zonks and 5 items, or 7 Zonks and 3 items. But we actually have more items than we do Zonks in this seed, which is actually pretty nice. It makes for a nice divergence in routes possible.
Absolutely. It's I think it was game 1 that was just basically completely linear. This is a fight that you don't really ever want to see when you're having Zerkers.
This is such an annoying fight with Zerkers.
What's really sad about this is if we had Aqua Rake, this would be a 1-turn fight. Aqua Rake is incredibly strong against desert type enemies, which Sandworm is one of them. And when I say it's super strong, it will do like 7.5k damage here. Which, considering Sandworm is has 15k health here pretty well. So here's an interesting thing. Freddeh is trying to Dark Shock Sandworm, which again is going to be a precursor to doing L3 Flare. Although he can do L3 Flare now, but I don't think he has L3 Flare. Because I think that's Joe that has L3 Flare.
Correct.
So Dark Shock isn't really going to do anything for him. If he's trying to do Death by Math strats here, the Sandworm fight actually breaks by doing L5 Doom. So, not the greatest idea.
What did he tried to mix something onto. Yeah. He is trying Death by Math.
Yeah, this doesn't go the way that Freddeh thinks it will. It also doesn't lead to anything, so Sandworm starts at level 18, so it's now level 9. Samson Power will leave it to 19, and you're back to the exact same point. So it's certainly a fight you want Aqua Rake for, but we haven't found it in a shop. But if anyone ever tries to do Death by Math on Sandworm using L5 Doom, don't, it just breaks. The issue are the holes, and the game has no idea how to handle that, so if you were to do it successfully, it just doesn't end the fight. As Jirai is pointing out in chat, you can learn this naturally right outside Karnak if you go to the desert area and bait out the they're not called chimeras, but I can't remember exactly what they're called.
Yeah, it's the same sprite as the Chimera Brain. I don't remember what they're called. Desert Chimera.
Meanwhile, Joe is going to Antlion. This is the easiest World 3 check at only 8.1 thousand HP. So, generally not too difficult, actually easier than a lot of the World 2 checks as well. So again, Sandworm is now level 19, so you're back in the same state you were before. So I am curious what he's trying to do here.
Yeah, I mean, because like you said, he's level 19 now. And now you're going to take him back down to
9.
Level 9.
I think he forgot it was a floor function.
Yeah, did he? But right, because now he's going to level 5 doing the holes.
And we get the adamantite from the antlion cave, so we're gonna go immediately there. Like Freddie is just forgetting how the math works in this game. Did confirm it in the race chat um, before these racers started that it is a floor function that it runs off of. And but what I mean by a floor function is that if you divide a number by 2, it either the whole number, which has no problem, or it's 0.5. And what it does is basically truncate out that 0.5.
Yeah, the way I always describe it is, normal rounding rules don't apply. You round down. Yep. So if it's 19 and a half, it's 19. Right? Or in this case, 19 divided by 2 is 9.5. You round down.
Yeah, so the way you would actually have to do death by math strat, and this actually works the other way it works for any boss in the game, if you could hit enough dark shocks, is you can bring it to level 1. And speaking this, you can L5 Doom. This is level 5 here. Just yep. There you go.
Goodbye.
You can bring any enemy down to level 1 if you can hit dark shock, mix to level 11, and then dark shock to level 5. There are certainly fights in the game where that is very much something you want to do. Stalkers at a very high HP spot. The fastest way to get rid of them is to Dark Shock twice, mix a Samson Power and Dark Shock, and then L5 Doom.
I had my eye on Judgejoe's side, who got the trench page from Marigine at the Soul Cannon. Did Carlabos lead to anything for Freddie?
If you think a gold armor is anything important, then yes. Otherwise, no.
Ooh, gold armor! I can look shiny. Ooh, shiny.
It is slightly less effective than, say, what Edric's armor would be in this game, which is to say, not in this game.
I was going to say, hey, now wait a minute. Edric's armor is stupid, broken. Come on now.
I do not disagree. I am in a booth with 2 people who are very much into Dragon Warrior Randomizer, so I take my pot shots when I can.
And meanwhile, Judgejoe falls into the trap for the 3rd time.
There's a point where you just let go of B, which is a run button.
You let go of the B button.
So, not having it looks like Freddy's trying to go for X stuff here. Not without L2 ult, this is going to be actually taken in full rather than cheating your way through this fight in 2 seconds. X stuff is level 66. The fastest way to take care of X stuff is to use L2 ult, 2 ticks later, use L5 Doom. And that's it. Otherwise, you have to fight it legitimately. Another strat you could use is L3 Flare, but of course, Joe is the one with L3 Flare.
I missed that Freddie has an air knife.
I also missed that he had light staves from somewhere.
That I knew. He picked them up somewhere.
More, maybe. We do get the 4th tablet and the trench page from Flying Lanka Ruins, so Joe only needs a 3rd tablet, which is somewhere in World 3.
But yeah, so now wait a minute. I'm wondering if maybe in this particular scene it's not North Mountain that's the double hint. I wonder if it's a Flying Lanka that's the double hint.
Could be. But Joe is going to go for what would be the next fastest check in World 3, which is the Odin spot. For those of you familiar with the vanilla game, but not the randomizer, you may know this as the fight where you have exactly 1 minute to beat Odin, where 1 minute seems like it's closer to 30 seconds. In the randomizer, we take that out because there are a number of bosses where you will not be able to beat it in a minute. So all you have to do is defeat 19,000 HP or whatever boss is in this in this cave, so we'll see who it is. Joe is going to actually take the save point, open up the Bow Castle, take the save here. Whereas Freddeh is continuing on with this X-Stuff fight, breaking light staves, X-Stuff's weakness is holy. Who could have figured that one out? A bunch of undead souls being weak to holy.
Alright, so at the Odin spot, we have...
Siren! Cannot Deathclaw Siren. Siren is heavy. The confusion here is that people think Siren's weak to a lot of things. She's weak to Break and Doom. But she is not weak. She is not a non-heavy boss. So if you had a killer bow...
And she is level 2, so you could level 2 ult her. For what reason? Who knows?
You could Dark Shock, mix, and then Dark Shock again. The issue with Siren, though, is that her phase change ruins a lot of things. Freddeh does beat X-Stuff in his castle. We alluded to this earlier and said we'd talk about it if and when it became an actual thing. So X-Stuff in his castle is not strictly a required fight in this version of the randomizer, just simply because we have all 3 worlds open. Normally in a random seed or in a normal race seed, we would have worlds 1 and 2 open. And in order to get access to world 3, you have to beat X-Stuff in his castle. But instead of making you do that, what we do is to incentivize you to beat X-Stuff in his castle. Let's see what Joe gets from here. Just a power ring, so nothing important. What we do is we say, we'll offer you 3 key items, none of which are a tablet. One of them may be useful. They all might be things that are that you already have. And we also weaken X-Stuff in his first phase to near critical or near critical HP, where 1 hit will kill X-Stuff in the Tree X-Stuff fight. The issue is that the script is more advanced, so the downside is now you no longer have a lot of time to buff your party. So this is a party that you want to buff, but we're not going to get that time because we have Zerkers anyways. So Freddeh may have been like, with Zerkers, there's no point in sort of holding that phase together to only get white holes and physical attacks. So we're going to see when Freddeh gets Neo X-Stuff, we're going to see a very, very fast transition from Tree X-Stuff to Neo X-Stuff. And Neo X-Stuff is by far the more sort of stressful of the fights, because you have 4 targets that you actively have to work on. We do see Carbuncle here at the front of the pyramid. This is essentially a waiting game, and hopefully your Zerkers don't encounter enough counters. Really. Carbuncle is thankfully very, very dodgy, so the chances of you actually hitting Carbuncle for any amount of damage is very low.
And then it crits.
Okay, yeah, you know. It happens.
Alright, so it looks like we have Freddeh going to go pull Barrier Tower.
This was a huge point of divergence in race 2 that really didn't end up mattering at all. Mm-hmm. Being able to complete Barrier Tower on Freddie's side versus Judgejoe, who wasn't. At the same time, they both took 2 completely different routes to get to their go mode. If you have not watched Game 2 between these 2 racers, it is a race that I would absolutely recommend you guys to watch.
Yeah, it certainly has been the race of the tournament up to this point.
So there are 2 monsters in a box in Barrier Tower, and there are 3 in Pyramid. We'll see if anything good gets from any of them. You know, generally higher tier loot. The Pyramid trap chests are significantly higher tier than the ones in Barrier Tower. Unfortunately, I'm pulling the yellow dragons here. Actually not as bad as you would think. They are not heavy. So you could Deathclaw these yellow dragons if you wanted to.
That Thunder is not too bad. Two of them back to back, that hurts.
Yeah. The crystal shield from that first trap chest on Joe's side.
White suit, probably the second best piece of equipment for a mage, with the black suit probably being better.
I'm of the opinion that if you get a bag attack on yellow dragons in particular, it's best either just to run away or just reset. But
No, I'm with you. If I ever get a back attack on a yellow dragon, I nope out of this fight real fast. I'm like, nope, no, I'm good. Thanks, bye.
well, you just open the same trap chest again and fight it and get a better formation.
Yeah, exactly.
And for a crystal helmet, so we got a crystal shield on Joe's side and a crystal helmet on Freddie's side.
There's a dark suit, not to be going over a spike there poisons everybody, and I believe takes you down a couple hundred, 250 hit points there. Ouch.
I mean, you're about to get a save point anyways, but I guess he wants to heal up just in case this is the third monster in the box. But we do get a save point right here where Joe's about to enter, and if he wants to cabin or tent, he can do that. As we see Freddie also tenting. And it's going to go to this last chest, which I believe has to have the second monster in a box. Or no, I guess we have one more chest. I see a Dragoon Spear, I get a little bit excited and then realize we don't have a way to actually do anything with that.
It's do anything
money.
with it. Yeah. Oh, look, another air knife.
So we need 2 air knives. A panda here. Very weak to fire. This is where you may want to equip a power staff and berserk up panda here. So that he doesn't do exactly that, which is armor, which is annoying. I'm not entirely sure what Freddie wants to do here with Dark Shocking. Again, it's a floor function, so a panda is level 59.
All right, so this puts him at level 29.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Another one would put him at 14. I mean, 14. I don't know. No.
Yeah, I think this is unfortunate where he's sealing everything rather than flooring these things. You do lessen the chance of a panda actually hitting counters like the drain, whatnot, but it's not going to be your L5 Doom.
I think the issue here, I don't know if Freddie actually picked up any of the fire rods that were available, I believe, out of Licks.
I thought he picked up a few. I mean, he used one against Biblos.
Yes.
We do see the chemist ability coming into play and doubling the strength of a high potion there. But yeah, I know Dry and whoever else really likes to put on a power staff against a panda to basically only have him melee.
And Judgejoe going for underflow strats by equipping a rune axe and a thornlet.
I assume on Gulf because be appropriate. As long as it's not Bart's, really. Because each character has sort of a base stat that is slightly different from one another. So like Kara or Cryo is the fastest.
This is bad.
This is when you put on a power staff. And that's the first thing you absolutely have to do. You have to put on a power staff and you have to Zerk up Omni.
And then Omni is going to absolutely hammer this party into oblivion at this point.
It's not going to be pleasant. But at least you can win the fight. And we do see a panda go down on Freddie's side. We see Joe again. Omniscient has innate shell, and we're still doing 19,000 with Arrow 3.
All right, so Freddie takes out the barrier tower.
Gets a slumber sword.
Yes.
That's the reward we're talking about.
Is there a mix to dispel?
To dispel, I don't believe so.
Going into the mix charts.
Regardless, this Omniscient fight should be done pretty quickly. Finally, Omniscient hits somebody, and it's for 2,500 damage to a back row Berserker. Or back row Hunter. But we do get through that Omniscient fight, and we get the third tablet, so that is all the tablets we need to beat this game within an hour. So we will see. Does Joe just go right into the void? My assumption is yes.
So interestingly, you got the pyramid page from the Ifrit spot. So you do have to do the library. And that is, the Ifrit spot is often a spot that is faded by runners because, again, you want to try to do both the Ifrit spot and the Biblos spot at the same time if you can. So you want Ifrit's fire.
I thought Freddie did do the Ifrit spot. Because
Did he?
wasn't it Crayclaw there?
Mm.
Oh, that's what I thought. Like, I'm pretty sure I saw Crayclaw in the library on Freddie's side.
So Freddie taking out the Guardian crystals at the top of Wall's Tower.
Probably had to step away for a second. Real life. We see Joe with certainly a very sizable lead, finding both the Adamantite leading to the fourth tablet unhinted and the third tablet, which was mostly unhinted. We knew it was somewhere in World 3.
And there's Big Guard.
Big Guard makes, well, the final fight a lot safer. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
It gives you float, shell, and armor status, which means your Almagus is only going to do 800 damage. Do you see Joe going and using this magic lamp, which I don't even know where he picked up? I'm assuming Pyramid, and I just wasn't looking around.
Kusa.
Kusa. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Very beginning of the game. Freddie's going to the Odin Cave, which is the one spot he doesn't need to go to. So the cannons are 35. The main cannon itself is level 36, so you could very easily L3 flare this. I like to L2 old into L5 Doom. Soul Cannon, as in normally up in the air, leading to the Flying Wonka Ruins, is immune to wind. But we do see that Underflow Rune Axe doing some massive damage here.
Casual 44-28 to the face.
That's going to be a Thornlet and a Giant's Axe on that Bart's, because otherwise it won't work.
I thought it was the Rune Axe. Maybe it could be the Giant's Axe.
No, it's the Rune Axe, but with Thornlet and the Giant's Glove.
Oh, and the Giant Glove. There you go. That's where you... Yep.
Because you don't get enough underflow. You don't get any underflow with Bart's unless you have both of them on. Gelf, who's actually a little bit stronger but slower, would only need one of those pieces of equipment. You see Joe changing out his party a little bit. It's really the first fight that is sort of the most dangerous, because if you need to reset from that first fight, it is a long walk back.
Mm-hmm.
Another Mirage Vest in the Void. That's always very nice.
Mm-hmm.
See Freddeh taking out the Odin spot, going to get nothing for his trouble.
Hey, look, another Earth Hammer. Hey.
Question is, will Freddeh take Boko on a journey here? Is that his next step?
Well, he is going to World 3.
It looks like
Maybe
he's going to Pyramid.
Pyramid. So that'll get him Tablet 3, which is nice.
Yep. He's also running out of checks to do, and I think he's gonna wait to go to back to that Sandworm and Nextstuff's castle for quite a while. The issue is, of course, if he continues to fade Antlion Cave, the more Joe is going to get ahead, and this, with Big Guard showing up in the Void, stops to be a scary fight. Big Guard protects against, say, a Necrophobia showing up in Twintania spot, where Necro will kill your entire party before you get a chance to move. Because it turns out single target Flare and Holy does a lot of damage.
Nah, I don't believe it.
Yeah. Well, I don't think any of us can convince Clear Tonic, who was one of the devs of the Rando, to include Medio on the barrier script.
Oh, that would just be mean.
I know, right?
Let's not encourage that.
Randomized battle scripts, come on. Could be worse.
Oh, jeez. Can you imagine a Medio casting a barrier Medio casting Necrophobe at the Twintania spot?
Yeah.
That's just, I mean, that's X Death Part 1 or Part 3.
The issue is I'm imagining 4 of them, because there are 4 barriers.
No, but no. No. I mean, that's evil.
You think Go-Go is bad when you attack him. Those invincible barriers suddenly become a lot harder to deal with. Better have a Masamune, and you better be able to equip it. You see Joe going for these sort of out-of-the-way checks. So, one thing that Joe does not have is Mind Blast, which is a little bit unfortunate, because Mind Blast is one of those things that completely locks down Grand Cross. Grand Cross being the section of Neo X-Def that applies random status effects to your entire party. With Mind Blast, that's not an issue because Grand Cross never actually fires. So we'll need a way to deal with that, and there are ways available that we do. Try picking
Here we go. Okay.
There's my boss. Oh.
Did Joe pick up Exploder?
Yes.
Yep. All right, well, this is easy.
Well, there goes that problem. No L2 old, though. Didn't wait for that second turn. The second turn has a very decent chance of casting L2 old, which is a very nice spell. But yes, learning my Blaster, lucky that Apocalypse was there, and actually lucky that he used Mind Blast on turn 1.
Well, what's his alternate script on turn 1 is Dark Shock, right?
Do Dark Shock, he can do Condemn his turn 2 with L2 old and Roulette. I think there are a couple other things that he can use turn 1. Oh, this is free. Phoenix down 80% of the time will kill Tyrannosaurus.
So we've basically had 3 free fights in a row. Can we make it 4?
I bet you the answer to that question is yes. The other thing I can say is that we have not seen Leviathan.
And we pull.
Oh, another free one.
Geez.
Just dark matter. Yep. There we go. That is one of the freest voids I've ever seen in my life.
And what was the first boss? The first boss was
Somebody.
somebody. I mean, wasn't on screen long. But yeah, 4 basically more or less insta-killable bosses in the void. That makes the void rather easy.
But Joe, not risking it, is actually going to go and sort out his party, cabin up. Save, I assume.
This isn't necessarily the freest of fights coming up. And really, I mean, well, so you're going to have Big Guard, right? But the problem, one of the first problems that Joe is going to face is that once Tree X Death gets low enough on health, it can use Meteo, and Meteo will wreck your face. Trust me, it will wreck your face given the chance.
Yes, Big Guard does help with that quite a bit. But yeah, it's going to be managing these berserkers. This could be significantly worse. And I am kind of a bit confused about the number of items that I've seen in the exact same place that I rolled to see today. Like the Odin to Genji glove is
Hey, chicken knife.
pretty familiar. Nice Bahamut and Odin, 2 summons that we don't need. We do have the magic lamp that will get rid of the back part, the magic part, which is hilariously the easiest part to deal with without that, because you can, well, we don't have L2 old, but if we did, you could just do that. And then suddenly you can't really do much. All my guests will do about 800 damage plus sap when that goes off via Big Guard on.
Yeah, the issue is we don't have White Wind for, easy multi-target healing. I mean, we do have the Chemist who can use high potions for 1,000.
Yeah. He's okay, so he's gonna kill the Zerkers off so he can start buffing. That makes sense.
Or not.
Well, he tried.
That's a problem.
So, those of you who are familiar with ForgeJob will also know that there is a mix glitch here, basically for the Kiss of Blessing, which grants Berserk status on anything, including things that are immune to Berserk. And if you use that on Tree X-Def here, you do not ever fight Neo X-Def. Much like it is for normal runs, that is very much a banned glitch. So you cannot actually do that. Tree X-Def in this phase is 77. So what doing a Dark Shock here would really lend the ability to do would basically make his other attacks less powerful. With L2 old, that is, you would be able to basically do Dark Shock into L5 Doom. Freddeh, unfortunately, finding Omniscient and had the running shoes on the wrong character on his Berserker and had to reset.
Yeah, because that fight was never going anywhere.
And warp sharding out.
Oh, that's painful. That's just painful.
Yeah, not. We know he has a power staff. Not. I think Joe, I guess, may have had to step away for a bit because his stream was frozen. Well, not frozen. His timer was still going on, so he may have
Right.
just had
So yeah, you had to step away for something.
Yep. Gonna do a haste drink. All right, we had a turtle shell. Why not? Well, he's gonna get Freddie's gonna get the adamantite. It's gonna lead him to the trench page and the one of the tablets, fourth tablet.
Mm-hmm.
But he was so close to that third tablet, I decided Omniscient wasn't worth the trouble. Maybe.
Could be.
Joe
Yep.
is a decently new player. Started playing in the last tournament, so may not be too familiar with all the mixes that you can do. What we're doing now is doing Samson power mixes, which raises the level by 10. Which not only makes you more powerful, but also will make anything you want to do to X stuff here hit more likely to hit, because a lot of the formulation in terms of whether or not spell hits is reliant on your level in comparison with the enemy's level. So if you are close to or higher than the enemy, your accuracy goes more towards the base accuracy of the spell rather than getting like a minus 30 or 40% penalty. So one of the things that you can do here, if you're really don't want to attack Tree X stuff, and you're okay with taking random melee attacks that may hurt a lot, you could mix Tree X stuff to level 255, and then L5 Doom, and never do an attack to X stuff himself. And you could technically do that to Neo X stuff as well.
That'd take forever, though.
Not as long as you think.
Hmm.
There are certainly longer Neo X stuff fights, but it is not. I mean, you are buffing the enemy's levels, so that comes with a giant caveat as everything is going to destroy you even more.
Ow.
I'm assuming that elemental power is Joe saying I'm going to cast the magic lamp with Lena
Maybe.
and have
That
the
could be.
Leviathan do a little bit more damage.
Would the elemental power also
Or an
boost
Arrow 3.
Arrow 3? Yeah,
Yep.
that's what I was. Yeah. Okay, so Freddie getting his trench page from the first check here up at Blanca. And now we're going to get the fourth tablet.
And we see this flare coming out on the Berserker.
And good night.
We also did see a Giant's Drink. You can only apply that once per character per fight, so you cannot actually stack Giant's Drinks. If you could, that'd be cool, but it's an elixir, so I don't know how many of those we have.
I think I
But
saw
it
a
does.
stack of 10 or 12.
I mean, possible. You really, and a lot of times, don't need it all too much. With with Blue Mage, there's a spell called Fusion that it basically acts as an elixir to a character, which is nice. I mean, it's at the cost of another character's life, but we have a chemist, so you just cast Resurrection, which is also a free elixir, because it will refill both your HP and MP to full. So the combination is still completely broken.
And there's the Meteo to the face.
Goodbye, Zerker. Accidentally casting Life Shield.
All right, so Freddie now having tablet 4 and the trench page.
But I don't think he's going to go back to Pyramid unless the trench has a direct hint saying...
And he's not even going to do trench first. Wait. Wait.
So this is where you get. So the chemist having big guard and giant strength is going to be quite a bit useful here. The Zerker adding random damage can make things a lot trickier at the end. But with both big guard and 2600 HP, even the double turns aren't too much. Well, they're a problem if there's only one character alive.
Yeah.
Because one character cannot survive 4 meteors to the face followed by an I guess, regardless of how much you protect against it. But we're going to see Magic Lamp cast come out from Joe, taking out that back part. Probably. He might not. He might decide to leave that to the end. If he had L2 ult, I wouldn't be against that idea, but he probably will just take care of it immediately. And then you're going to see trying to do a lockdown on that Grand Cross part in the middle. The top middle there, that's a dragon, is susceptible to paralysis, so Mind Blast works perfectly on it. And so you never should see a Grand Cross, and indeed, like, the goal here is that you want one part standing and you want it to be that Grand Cross part. Because if you're doing this fight properly with Blue Mage, even when the Grand Cross even if he has still 55,000 HP, for whatever reason, at the end of the fight, you shouldn't see any action from them.
And there's the yep, there goes the back part.
We're going to see a whole bunch of targeting, I believe, to the Almagus part, which is that magical beast in the bottom middle. See a Mind Blast coming out.
So, how long is that Mind Blast actually going to last on that Grand Cross part?
It lasts longer than you're probably thinking.
Oh, and hi, Necro. Hi, Necro. How you doing?
Oh, we found him. The barriers are a problem because the fact that they have walls up does prevent you from doing a lot of things that you'd want to do with it. You're just gonna have to let your berserkers deal with this.
Yep.
Can I just say I'm awesome? Well, I guess this is. I alluded to this in the race room. When you give your characters level, you drastically increase your chances of hitting Dark Shocks and various other spells. And I had said in the race room beforehand that if you have levels, and if you have Dark Shock, Neo X-Stuff takes like 5 minutes. At most. So the reason why I bring this up is because the front part of Neo X-Stuff is level 83, the back middle part is 81, and the Oh My Guess part is level 69, unless I got that backwards again, which I occasionally do. But essentially, that Grand Cross part, I believe, is now level 40. And level 40 is divisible by 5. And so, if Joe wanted to, he could just L5 Doom it right now.
That'd be fun.
Now, what Joe could also do, and what I actually expect him to do if he's thinking a bit about this, is he'll kill the Almagus part, Dark Shock that front part twice, to make him level 20.
And then L5 Doom the entire thing.
Yeah, then you L5 Doom both of them. Although Dry, I think, is correcting me on that, because I can never remember which one is 83 or 81, unless I'm actually paying too much attention to it.
Yeah, the front is 81.
And the middle is 83.
Yep. No, the middle is 67.
Well, that's
the top is 83.
Yeah. So one more, as Dry was pointing out in chat, one more dark shock to the Grand Cross. Or to the Grand Cross, and one dark shock to that front part and then you can L5 dupe them simultaneously. And with levels, it really shouldn't take all too long to actually achieve. And levels are really the key here. If you didn't have levels, it could take... I've had it take 17 minutes to hit a Dark Shock on this fight. But with levels, it is so much easier. And Dark Shock has the advantage that once you Dark Shock once, it's easier to hit it the second time.
Right, because the level's already halved.
Yes. And so both of those parts are now perfectly in line to L5 Doom, so we're just going to focus our efforts on the Almagust here. Kill that L5 Doom, and then it'll be GG's.
And Freddie just about to take out the Necrophobe here, guarding the trench.
Might want to pay a little bit of attention to his HP. Is going to recast that Big Guard, which is a good idea. Otherwise, it could have been slightly unpleasant with this Almagust coming out. Get a high potion. 1,000 more. Almagust is no longer a problem. Probably going to Mind Blast at center part.
Freddie now going down to the trench. I would hope to grab some items and the hints. And hopefully for Freddie, one of them is going to hint him toward the pyramid.
Unfortunately, I believe it is going to be too little too late. Like I said, as soon as this Almagust part goes down, it's going to be GG's. But we will see. You never know what can happen on this fight. It just seems like it's well in hand right now. Well, at least we know Fort Tower isn't Path to the Void.
Yay!
Unfortunately, nothing that's saying go to Pyramid. That blowfish, also known as 10,000 needles. Or 1,000 needles, not 10,000.
10,000 needles would be fantastic.
Yeah, we're not playing Final Fantasy X. We're not doing sphere grid level grinds. I hated every moment I was doing that in 10.
You know, I have not yet played Final Fantasy X.
I don't know what to say about that. I mean, if I were to ever replay it, I would absolutely use the cutscene remover because it removes like 7 hours.
Oh, jeez.
How to ethers or elixirs. This is where fusion comes in handy, because fusion will give you basically full P again. And then again, resurrection from your chemist. Was that Almagust going down?
I'm guessing because he's just now defending and probably rushing to level 5 Doom as long as Grand Crest doesn't present problems.
We will see.
Freddie pulling Greg 2 here from the trench.
Yep, gonna go to L5 Doom here. Grand Cross didn't do enough nasty things. There you go. 2 skulls on the screen. 2 less than I normally like to see when I do these stupid things, but still acceptable. And that is it. Get your GGs in the chat for Judgejoe winning with a time of 1 hour, 30 minutes, and 33 seconds.
Indeed, GG's to Judgejoe, who will advance to the grand final of this tournament. where he will await the winner of a 3-game series between Dreiselizer and Freddeh.
I believe he will be joining us shortly for a little bit of a post-race interview.
And speaking of, we are joined by the winner here in chat, Judgejoe. Joe, GG, well played.
Thank you. It seems my opponent has not gone to the pyramid.
Yep. Well,
He
went. No, he went to the pyramid.
Oh,
Saw Omniscient and noped out.
Oh.
He saw Omniscient had running shoes on a berserker, and then noped out.
It's fine. We found there was a lot of Mirage vests that actually helped out a lot.
Yeah, but he had to take a reset from the Omniscient in the first part because Berserker was acting first.
Yep. So obviously couldn't get through that fight without resetting the party and decided, I'm assuming, to go to Exdeath's castle after that.
No, he did that before.
Oh, okay. It's a fair play.
Oh, yeah. Exdeath's Castle didn't have anything really fantastic. It had the Sandworm Bait, it had the Elder Branch, and the Submarine Key.
Mm-hmm. Submarine Key's the important one.
Yep, and that is what Freddeh picked. So he's actually, well, if you look at his screen right now, after Freddeh forfeited from the race, he's fighting Greg 2 down in the trench.
Neat. Did those hints help out at all?
Not in the least. It said
I told him that Fork Tower was not going to be required.
Yeah. Towers were barren. Pool Pass was Path to the Void, which Freddeh already knew, and Bale Castle led to the Big Bridge Gate.
Yeah, that's not helpful. Well, I guess it means don't do Fork, but which, if you're looking at World 3 checks, is actually somewhat significant in that mind. If I had the option of Fork versus uncertain areas, I might have gone Fork, because 2 is bigger than 1.
Absolutely. And you didn't even have the opportunity to go to Trench, even if you wanted to, because you never found the sub key. So you avoided a whole bunch of things.
The hint said go to World 3, so I was doing World 3.
And Pyramid was the only thing you had left that was available.
Yep, it was Pyramid, and then I was going to go to Exodus Castle because, well, then I was in trouble.
So I'm guessing the Sandworm that Freddeh had to skip out on because he didn't have the means to deal with it may have had the sub key, or something that led to the sub key.
It could have been like Shrine Page.
Yeah.
If it's fire, that type of thing.
Speaking of which, we are also joined by Freddeh. GG's, man.
GG's, Freddeh.
Yeah, no, not even close. I was working on Trench.
It was Pyramid.
Yeah, no, I heard. I didn't feel like going back to killing Omni, because it just sounded gross. Like, I guess you can power staff and hope he doesn't kill you faster than you can death by math him or something, but...
We have Mirage Vests.
I mean, yeah, I technically had 2 Mirage Vests.
And you're doing more than enough damage with Arrow 3, right? So, that's a big thing.
Oh, that's right, he's weak to Arrow.
That too. Arrow 3 was doing 2k. Runeaxe randomly decided to start hitting for 3k because that was online right then and there.
Man.
The Underflow glitch is a thing.
I thought I was underflow, but I wasn't doing much damage.
I could have definitely had a cleaner Ned fight. Just did not have a good way of killing Almagest part fast.
I mean, it was pretty safe with Big Guard. Big Guard was in the Void in the forest, by the way, Freddeh.
Okay, that makes it easy. Yeah, pretty much.
I will say it. The luck continues in terms of Apocalypse providing you with the Mind Blast at the end there.
Yeah,
I was
Omniscient or Apocalypse. All right, I'm just going to sit here till I get Mind Blast. 3 seconds later. All right, time to explode.
Yeah, it's not. It's a 1/3 chance that he uses Mind Blast in that first turn. And I was commentating right before then saying, one of the things that Joe doesn't have that would be really useful is Mind Blast.
Oh, hey, Mirage Radar. Sorry.
We were joking whether or not that would be the other path to the void with the North Mountain hit. With another double. But but you getting that Apocalypse into Mind Blast is like, okay, that's really nice. Made pretty good uses of those mixes against Neo X stuff as well. As I was saying in the pre-race room, levels make hitting Dark Shocks a lot easier.
Yeah, I noticed. The first Dark Shock that I hit was an accident. I meant to Mind Blast the Grand Cross, and I accidentally did Dark Shock, and it just hit. And I went, oh, neat. Look up. I guess I still have one more on that piece.
Wait. I guess it doesn't matter. Yeah, I went for the YOLO castle move, and that did not pay out, it turns out, in the slightest.
I got castle access sub 30 minutes immediate, and went to the basement, got the Moogle suit, and then I had a lot of World 1 checks left and figured I'll just mess around with some other stuff now.
Yeah. And I probably shouldn't have done it to begin with because of the whole setting up on Next Death thing, but it seemed like fun at the time. It ended up having pretty mostly easy bosses except for a sandworm sitting in there. But nothing much else useful.
If you had Aquarake in there, it would have been a 2 Aquarake cast fight, but unfortunately you didn't.
Yeah, what's Aquarake? I never found that.
I never did find that either. Arrow 3 is a good... Well, Arrow 3 is not really a good spell, but Arrow 3 works.
Yeah, you could just turn on encounters in the desert near Karnak if you really wanted to learn Aquarake real fast. It is a thing, and if you haven't seen Sandworm, sometimes it's a good thing. But I do feel the need to mention that you should never try to death by math Sandworm other than L3 Flare, because if you do actually hit L5 Doom and Sandworm, it just breaks the fight in the game.
Oh yeah, it does, doesn't it? I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Fair.
It soft locks the game. You will no longer be able to do anything.
Yeah. Neat.
Yeah, that's things good to know. Don't have it.
Big mistake was forgetting that the chemist was the only person who could equip the light staffs, and I forgot that I turned Lena to a ranger last second. So I'm like, all right, my 2 blue mages will get the levels. One of them will be 1/both. I don't remember if blue mages can use staffs. We'll start breaking my life staffs for hopefully lots of damage on Almagath. And I can't equip that, and I didn't boost my chemist's levels.
Well, Freddie, at least you would have immediately gone to Pyramid after that.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm just gonna sit here on this up for a while, just for funsies.
I guess all the tablets were somewhat. I guess all the everything we needed to know was hinted.
Surprising.
Technically, yeah. I don't even know where Subkey was at.
Didn't matter.
Extens Castle.
It probably that sandworm.
Yeah, probably.
But if you had gone to the Void, you would have seen free, freer, and freest.
I believe it. It was just a bunch of level 5 Doom things.
Vindication for saving my dark matter.
Very much so. If you didn't want a Deathclaw.
2, so not really, but I considered
using Deathclaw.
Yeah.
Deathclaw, yeah. Well, there was a bunch of junk in Mirage. Level 2 old was the only interesting thing, really. There's some Aegis shields, which we already had one. Yoichi bows was for sale. Dragon Whip was for sale, which we couldn't use. There was a bunch of junk in Mirage. Not even White Wind, which is what I was hoping.
Well, at least Chemist can heal for 1,000 and can go and sit at 3k HP thanks to giant drinks.
Right?
I wasn't sure whether or not you used a giant drink. I thought you had actually used the mix for it.
That I only had one dragon thing. I probably could have messed with that, but I decided to just use that for plus 20 levels and be boring that way. I had to remember what the haste drink was.
Yeah, that's a common thing if you're not constantly using chemist to figure out what those sort of non-traditional mixes are, right? You're not gonna forget Samson power. Probably not gonna forget elemental power or dragon power or anything like that, but sort of like things with turtle shells are generally a bit more esoteric because you're not really having them available for a lot of seeds.
Yeah, I did not ever find. I got one turtle shell and I was happy with that. Because one pair of running shoes, chemist can drink speed drink, and then one turtle shell equals 3 hasted people. And then there was a berserker.
So
Yeah.
how did you go ahead?
I think I had 2 or 3 turtle shells, but maybe not. Did I accidentally sell them? That sounds like something I would do. I know that they are. I had 2 turtle shells and a dragon fang, yeah. Shout outs to Lonka crystal, earth crystal drops. Dragon fang and a turtle shell.
I did not see that. See, man, did
It
you see
was-
that? I probably wasn't looking at those drops.
No, not at all.
You wouldn't think they'd be anything at that point, but they were
Yeah,
quite nice.
turtle shells are fairly common in random junk.
Yeah. Also, shout outs to farming for Dark Shock and then immediately seeing Dark Shock in a shop.
The classic.
I knew I should have done World 2 shops before doing that, but I'm like, maybe I'll just go do stuff. And I'm like, no, I should probably check hints. And of course, hi Dark Shock.
Shoutouts to the Aegis Shield blocking Dark Shock.
Yeah, that too. I got Dark Shock failed and then Dark Shock got blocked too, yeah.
That's rough.
Good times.
Berserker did their job. They hit Tree X Death really hard, and then they died. And then they hit Tree X Death really hard, and then they died. And then they hit Tree X Death really hard again.
Sounds about like yeah.
The great thing was they were popping up at full health and still getting murdered.
They were not going to survive a direct flare cast.
What?
Was-
Never.
No, so I mean, I guess we've talked about it. It's sort of like, what was your approach starting the seed with the Berserker in hand? Well, the knowledge that you were going to have a Berserker, and then you were going to have sort of the broken combination of Blue Mage and Chemist. Was there anything in particular you were looking for to start off?
A bow. The Avis Killer meant I had a bow. Then there was a Yoichi bow from a Czech, and then there was an Artemis bow at some point, so I had a couple Berserkers and was fine. At which point it was just kind of, I suppose I should probably start prepping for the end game and be very, very sad about Almagest, because that's gonna suck.
But then you got Big Guard, and you're like, all my problems are taken care of.
Yeah, I thought Big Guard was likely in the void, but I couldn't count on it.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Very
it
easily
would have
could be a
been-
Mirage.
It would have been, well, I could have bought the Wonder Rod and gone with that. Is Protect Drink just armor, or is that also shell?
I believe it is both if you have 2 turtle shells.
The
The
Protect
potion,
Drink
I think, is
from
just
Kemet.
armor.
Oh, honestly, I don't know. I think it's just armor. I don't know.
Because if that was shell, then I'd have had a 2500 HP chemist with shell, and which is what I did, and I never healed that person. They just, oh, my HP dropped a little,
It is just armor for the drink.
so would have been a little messier, but would have running shoes on a mixed blue mage, and then the hasted chemist, and just mix up resurrection potions as needed would have been my plan without the big guard.
Yeah, one of the things I was hoping you would do at the end when you were running out of MP was fusion to resurrection, which
Yep.
basically is 2 elixirs for free.
I
Yeah.
forgot fusion costs 1.
So 1 or 13. I think it's 12.
Oh, fusion
Not a lot.
costs more than 1.
Yes.
I had the elixir for the one who had done some earlier stuff. Looking at the spell casts, I believe I forgot to re-equip the gold hairpin on anyone.
That happens because Optimize really hates gold hairpins.
Sure does. And running shoes.
Yep. Leather shoes are better than running shoes. Did you not know that?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yep.
How could you not?
Glasses are better than running shoes.
Anything
Okay.
that gives you defense is better than running shoes to the game.
Isn't it also mean to Elf Cape, or is it really Enjoy? I can't remember which one it is.
It doesn't particularly like it, but it will put it against normal defense items, except for like Gauntlet and stuff like that. But it loves wall rings. Top of the chart.
Yeah.
Z-Man, I've been talking a lot. How about you? Any questions for our runners?
No, I think that's pretty well covered it. I mean, Freddeh, you're still in this tournament despite the loss. You go to the bottom bracket here to face Dryzalizer in a 3-game set. Any thoughts on that match?
Oh, we'll be sure to ban all this math gimmick stuff.
Yes, Sandworm does floor, not ceiling.
What's a sandworm?
You were dark shocking to 9 and mixing to 19 and
yeah, I don't know. I know. It was bad. I realized that after. I'm like, oh, I was dumb. Why was I doing? That's the other way. It's the opposite way of how that goes. You just round to whatever I wanted to round to, right? Is that how it works?
That's what you're trying to do with a panda as well.
I just
I know.
realized. I know what a good strat for Almagest would have been. Give it more levels. Surely it would have been a little easier to do that than my damage.
Well, yes, if you do it fast enough and get it to 255, then L5 Doom it, yes. But if he gets Almagest out when he's level 255, I believe through Shell, that's going to do like 2,000 plus damage.
Well, it's just its base level is exceedingly awkward.
Yep, 67.
But I believe you can go and use at some point in there.
Isn't it? Can't you do?
I think it would be Dark Shock to 33, go to 43 to 21 to 10 would have probably been best. Which,
yeah,
it's still a lot, but considering Dark Shock was fairly accurate at the end there, would have been a better strat.
In my quad Neo XF L5 Dooms, that's the path that I take. Of course, I have to go all the way to 5, but yeah, that's a way to do it. Dry pointing out in chat, you had L3 Flare. You could have also mixed 2 drinks to 87 and L3 flared.
What's L3 Flare?
Well, Joe had it.
Something that probably does more damage than Arrow
APOC?
3.
Yeah, it does do good damage if you set things up. I know I've definitely had seeds where I've won by L3 flaring into net to death.
Yeah, I mean, technically you could do 2 mixes on Almagest, 1 mix on the front part. Or, sorry, 1 mix on the Grand Cross. And then just L3 flare all 3 parts simultaneously.
Yep, sounds like what I usually do.
And then you don't care about the die part because you had Magic Lamp.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I was like, alrighty, I'm gonna go and want that Doom spell on the back part, and I guess I just have a Magic Lamp.
Yep.
Well, after this 11th match, I'll get to go and take a little break for a little bit.
Yeah,
Yep.
one round of a break. Get to find your second finals in a row, Joe. See if
Yeah, excited for this one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching the grand finals. I'm looking forward to Freddie and Dry's set here to see who makes it back. Both opponents that you have faced, and both, I believe, right? You took out Dry, and then you
Yep.
are now taking out Freddie, so it will
I
be a
also
revenge grand
faced
finals.
E-Man, who was
You
in
know,
fourth.
you could have gone without saying that. I mean, come on now.
I apparently ended up with it ending up against the other three of the top 4 finalists. So it's been lots of fun.
It's the way it happens sometimes.
Just means you worked.
Indeed.
Also, all of them were 2-1, so this should be good either, no matter how it lands.
Well, look at the bright side. The winner side of grand final. We haven't actually talked about the format. It is a best of 5, not a best of 3, and it's not a reset because we don't really want to have 6 matches possible. So it is a best of 5 where you being in the winner's side gets to start off 1-0. So you only have to win 2 games to win the tournament, whereas whoever your opponent is will have to win 3.
So I'm hearing I could go up to 15 games for this tournament.
Yes.
That is the
Now-
potential max at this point.
If you tie, you can go up even more.
Oh God.
Yeah, but
No,
that doesn't
let's not.
actually happen.
Yeah, let's not.
We've had some close-ish ones that could have resulted in ties if stuff happened a little differently.
I mean, look, if you hadn't chose Blue Mage to count us and you chose 2 melee classes, like I was half expecting you to choose Monk. And that
I
Omniscient
considered Monk.
and there's no way to get through that Omniscient other than Mage Mashers.
Oh boy.
We had
And that-
anti-magic though, potentially.
I expect it probably would have been a double forfeit because no one is doing 20,000 of that strat.
Well, how bad is it with a wall ring?
It doesn't matter. You're going to be resetting because you have Zerkers. It doesn't matter. You can spend hours on that. You won't get anywhere because as soon as you get somewhere, you're going to reset the fight.
Well, that's why the Zerker stays on the floor.
It is not a fight you want to do. If it's
Yeah, I
required,
know.
you don't do it.
Unless it's required, that wouldn't have been done if we had Monk plus. Red Mage is fine. Monk plus.
Say like Geomancer.
Who would have chosen Geomancer to finish it off?
Yeah.
I
mean,
no.
maybe,
I was
no.
thinking of maybe going Ranger Thief, but
Try my-
I decided not to.
The game gave you a chicken knife at the very end there, just in case.
I know. I thought about maybe going, and if it weren't for the fact that X-Fight takes a slot, max level X-Fight would have been great for the tree part.
Absolutely.
And I would have done that. Instead, I just had the Berserker hitting for 6k plus.
No, I mean, it was a wonderful showcase about what you can do with these two. I want to say separate teams on the same team. You had your Berserker and then you had your Math. Or Status and Math.
It was kind of funny.
2 completely separate teams, pretty much.
And we actually both picked half of each team.
Yes. Joe picks Blue Mage. Well, you guys were just banning everything in the race room that was anything mage-like. I'm like, something's gotta give.
I forgot it was a random thing, so I had like my draft all planned out, and then, oh, I'm not picking first. Oh, he just immediately picks Hunter. Throw draft planning out the window.
What
Have
would
some
you
fun.
have chosen first pick?
My plan was to ban Ninja, or I think Ninja Dancer,
But
And
you
then
did
you end up
anyways.
with Hunter
And-
anyways.
and then pick either White Mage, Black Mage, or Summoner, whichever one you didn't ban.
Which would have been White Mage, probably. Well,
Probably would have been White Mage, yeah.
I've
But then you
got a
picked
little-
Hunter, and I couldn't help myself. Like that just wasn't fair, really.
Listen, I haven't had enough Hunter games this tournament yet.
Fair. I usually do Hunter half the time on regular race scenes.
You and a sizable number of people.
Yeah.
Chuck a bow on someone and it blows through the early games, which is what happened here.
Pretty much.
Well, if
You
you
mean
want,
what I
I
found
have
from
running
last
shoes
tournament.
Hunter with a Yuichi bow? Okay, cool. I'll just run into a fight and hey, it's dead.
I had running shoes Blue Mage with air knife, and arrow 3 for mid game, but yeah.
Yeah, I should have switched to that at some point, but I was having too much fun with the Yuichi bow attacking like 3 times before anyone else fight goes.
Well, my 2 bow wielders were berserked, so no control.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Like I said, I should have probably switched at some point, but was
It's
having
fun.
too much fun. And I was using Giant Axe for a lot of the time on the a Berserker.
Well,
Those aren't very accurate.
just want to say thank you guys for putting on this restream. I'm sure it's definitely going to be at least fun to see some of the earlier parts where see how our routes changed and did things, and just when we split to different paths.
yeah, it probably happened closer to mid game, where just Joe, your routing was a little bit better in terms of convenience, like the big bridge key into anti-barrier into Moogle, so to Moogle waterway to limit on sort of that traveling. Things like that.
Moogle suit showed up. Oh, so you did do the basement?
I just got the big bridge key, went, let's do that, it's fine. Gets basement, and barrier went, I guess I'll go to the basement. Gets Moogle suit. I guess Ruger and Moogle waterway is my next step.
Did you find barrier before bracelet?
No, I had both pieces, I believe.
Okay. I actually forgot to check Moogle.
I mean, bracelet being at the... Was it Wind Shrine? Was it Torna Canal? It was Torna
Might have been
Canal.
Torna Canal, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Sounds
Torna
right.
Yeah, oh dear. That'd be a fade.
It is a fate
I
that's
mean-
burned people before, for sure.
I've done it a lot. I didn't do it this one because I needed one of the levels, but
No, but like I said, that was a very, very fun race to watch, very fun race to commentate. And I look forward to seeing both of your guys' races in the future, in this tournament and elsewhere.
heck yeah. Was a good series. Some fun races. Well, maybe this one was less of a race and more of a you showing off while I decided not to try to kill Omni.
It could have gone the other way.
Fair.
If the sub key, or if I got something that chained poorly from the pyramid page, then and you went to Excess Castle, then you would have had a sizable lead that way, probably.
Fair, yeah.
That's the nature of Rando, especially when all the tablets are sort of really right there for the taking. Really, actually, the big thing here was both of you going to the front of library and getting that pyramid page out of there, because you needed
True.
that.
It's such an I know it's somewhat hypocritical to I'll just fade North Mountain, but then almost always do front of library in World 1, but that's just kind of the way I've developed over the last tournaments, and I've just kind of stuck with it.
Fair. Like I don't hate it, honestly. Like, it's and then of course you get a hint for North Mountain anyway. It's like, well, guess I'm doing that anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. But I've developed the odd style of, all right, I'm pushing all of World 1, except North Mountain for whatever reason. I'll even do Library 1.
That tends to be me with the Torna Canal and Great Ship Graveyard. I'm like, I'll do everything but those two. I'll even do North Mountain without doing those.
It's one of those things where you say to yourself you want to fit it, but it's like I'm basically stealing a minute and a half of my time, right, for the possibility of possibly only single dipping this. But if this
Porta
is
Canal is a
important,
little bit better choice to fade that one.
oh yeah, because it's a little longer, but it's 2 checks. It's the idea of like if something is there either at the front of library or the front of North Mountain, that is like the go mode item or like maybe the second item, right? It's like in Free Enterprise if the Earth Crystal shows up at Flame Dog or something like that. It's like one of those fades that you do that can really bite you for like
Yep.
a little bit of time save. And so it's a gamble either way you look at it. And sometimes it pays off and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, it's true.
But no, I think Z-Man, do you have I already asked this if you had any other questions for our runners here. Shall we let them get on with their night?
Yeah, no, I think y'all have covered everything. So I think that's it was a great race to watch, and I'm certainly looking forward to next week's matches between Dry and Freddie. They should be really good.
But will they be later in the night?
We shall see.
Dry and Freddie are both in Western later time zones, and we're on the East Coast here, so
Yeah, that'll be fun to do. I promised I'd try to get at least a morning-ish weekend day or something. So,
for ROM, yeah.
yeah, see if we can get that going.
Well, either way, I look forward to watching them.
Indeed, and I
Forward
do
to
want to.
racing.
I do want to make a special shout out here to our wonderful tracker for the evening, the Seawolf One. Did a great job on tracking, and I do want to shout out and thank you to the people behind SpeedGaming for giving us use of your channel for the evening. You have anything else to add, Fiery?
No, I don't. I mean, you basically said it at the end there. Thanks again to SpeedGaming for giving us the platform to show this randomizer off once again. If you're not following our runners, Freddie and Judgejoe, make sure to follow them for various randomizer gameplay of very high quality. With that, Z-Man, do you want to take us out? Because I've been talking way too much.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, look for us next week on the Speed Gaming Family and Networks here when we have our best of 3 set between Dryzalizer and Freddie. And the winner of that set will go on to take on Judgejoe here in the grand finals. So look for that somewhere upon the Speed Gaming Family and Network. So until next time, everybody, I hope everybody has a great rest of your day or evening, and we will see you all next time.